Yo, what's up? My name is Ty. I obviously don't have the rest of Third Eye with me here right now, but I'm going to go over how I produced and mixed our latest single, Twin 2. I'm going to play it right here.
It's just getting my new technique. I can't feel it, that's amazing, but feeling that taste. I say, oh, you look good on skate. You get what I mean. Hitting place for the week. Killer, fashion queen. But I like it so deep. They ain't even in my league.
So yeah, Third Eye consists of 6 members. We all do production and mixing. So every song that you hear from us, it's pretty much gonna be produced and mixed by us. I did a majority of the production and mixing on this particular record. Nick also played some keys and did like a little arpeggiating type of lead in the second half. So I'll go over that when I get to it. But yeah, I'm just gonna break down how I started off making this beat and what my thought process was. So I started this beat a year and a half ago. I think it was February or December that I made it, originally, the first half of it, because I produced the rest of it later on. I started off with this little pluck right here. Yeah, pretty simple pluck. I'll go over like the plugins that I use to like add like some extra like sound design elements to these presets pretty much here. A year and a half ago I was not doing any of my own sound design. I was only using presets. Using presets is completely fine. I think if you want to get into getting into sound design is a good thing though too, because you can be a little bit more deliberate with the decisions you make and stuff. You don't have to start off with like this kind of like set out thing that you have to really follow, I guess. So yeah, I have MS-20 here. This is how it sounds with the plugin, without the plugins that I added. So pretty much I'm using a bit crusher, I'm using crystallizer, which is a granular echo, and then a devil lock, which is like a really like aggressive compressor. I'm using the devil lock. You'll see a lot throughout here on these tracks. Boom, MS-20, all the melodic elements, I'm using the double lock. Pretty much the purpose of that is just to really amplify the ambiance of, ambience of the room. So pretty much like the sustain and the release of these notes just gets like super blown out with like the double lock, which sounds really cool. I'll go on to the actual, past the intro point. Let's see how this sounds. So yeah, all you hear, only thing I added is just these 2 notes, but it all of a sudden sounds way, not 2 notes, these 2 sounds, it all of a sudden sounds way bigger. So I'm using the MS-20 plugin again. This is a Korg plugin. You can go out and buy this bundle. I'm not fucking like sponsored by Korg or something, but I've gotten a lot of use out of this, so it's pretty cool. MS-20 bass sound. MS-20 is pretty much like a semi-modular synth. It's like pretty iconic hardware synth that Korg made. Again, I'm using the devil lock to really blow out the sustain and the release of the sound. This is the bass sound soloed without the devil lock. You see, the devil lock just makes it huge. Sounds way cooler. Let me go back and put that on. Here's like this little bell plucky lead. Of course, you know I'm spamming this shit. Double lock again with the bit crusher. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty simple, honestly. I feel like you can get pretty cool sounds doing simple things as long as your ideas are interesting enough. You don't have to get so crazy with like production techniques and stuff. I'll go into the drums. Drums, pretty much very simple again. Clap is on the 3, open hi-hat on, I think, the and of 4. Oh no, it's actually on 4, never mind. And then bass, really blown out, clipping the master like you would want like Rage records you hear today to be doing. And then regular kick pattern that just follows the bass pretty much. So I'll solo all of the drums right now. Let's see. So yeah, if you put that all together, it sounds like this. All right. So now I'll get into like the second half of the first half of the beat. Okay, so I use this little siren thing to kind of transition into like a new section to keep things interesting. I'm pretty sure this was on a Korg Monopoly preset. I didn't sound design this. But yeah, that's like really cool. It's like a nice little transitional element. The drums and the bass are still going while you hear that, so it's like this. And then pluck comes in. Oh fuck, I don't have it on. Then pluck comes in. Yeah. Pluck, again, I'm using Monopoly. I'm using Devil Lock, Redux, Echo Boy for delay. Pretty simple stuff. I'll show you how it sounds without the plugins I have on here. So you see, like without the plugins that I have, especially with the Devil Log, everything sounds a lot more dry, and it also sounds less in the like within the middle, just like in the middle, and more like on the stereo. I fucking explained that really badly, but here you go. That's how it sounds with it. So yeah, I mean, that's how I produced the first half of it. I'll get into how I produced the second half right now. I just have to open up the other project file. So I'll go over how I produced the second half and also our vocals. I did the vocals on the first half of the song, and then Luke recorded the vocals on the second half of the song. So I'll go over that. Yeah, I'll be right back. What's up? I'm back. I took a little bit of a break to let my computer chill the fuck out a little bit. It was tweaking. Alright, for the second half of this, I'm going to go over how I did the second half of the production, a little bit of like the sound design, and then also going over how I mix the vocals. Luke is on the second half of the beat, and then I'm on the first half, so let's start. I'll play you guys the second half of the beat. So yeah, you can hear in comparison to the first half of the beat, it's a lot less aggressive, a lot more laid back. I did this to fit the style of Luke's delivery. Luke was a little bit more chill with his delivery, so I didn't want to come with this like super aggressive beat over his vocals that were like a little bit more chilled out. So I'll go over the melodic elements first. You'll see everything is waveforms now, none of it is MIDI because I'm recording everything with a hardware synth. This is once I started getting, I mean, fuck, this is like literally like a year later after I actually made the beat. I'll give you like a little bit of backstory. I first made the beat, dropped it in the Discord, showed it to everybody in 3rd Ave. Everybody like liked the beat, but it was just like, I didn't really know how any of us would hop on it. I couldn't really see a vision of it. But Luke kept telling me, he's like, yo, we got to do something with this. Like, I think this could be really cool. So I did the first verse, and then Luke did a verse after that, and then that's when I added the second half of the production to fit a little bit more of his vocals. So yeah, this is like a year later that I came back to this beat. So I've obviously increased a lot in terms of like skill set and like how I approach things and things like that. So yeah, here I'll play you guys the melodic elements that's happening here. We're using a lot of automation here to like fade things in levels wise. Let me add this. Okay, I started. So my favorite part about this part is like it sounds kind of like happy right now, and it sounds like, I don't know, like really like, I don't know, I would just describe it as happy. But then you add in the bass, and all of a sudden it sounds kind of like nostalgic. The bass like completely recontextualizes the melodic elements, and I feel like that's always a really cool thing. Like when you can use one sound to really make another sound gain like a whole new type of character. I feel like that's like one of the goals in our production for sure. So yeah, so The main thing that's carrying on that from the first half of the beat into the second half of the beat is just the drums and the bass. Those are the only things that are staying the same. The melodic elements are all changing. Sure, it's kind of like the same chords, but just voiced differently. But the sound design is changing a lot, so it makes it feel like a lot different. Here is another little atmospheric thing I added. This is the tail end of the little pluck we heard at the beginning. So pretty much what I did there, just threw a huge reverb on it with a little bit of echo, and I resampled that, put it down here, and I reversed it. So it's playing regularly first, then it's reversed, and then it's playing regularly again, so it's just constantly feeding into itself. So yeah. Now I'll get a little bit into the vocals, I guess. Alright, I'll start off with my vocals. I'm just gonna fucking show you guys the raw vocals, expose myself a little bit so you guys can get an idea of what goes into mixing shit. There you go. Damn, it's gonna be difficult to listen to. Prepare yourself. Oh, I probably should just solo them. There you go.
She just want the cash, but I won't touch. I was never taught to show no love. Kiss the jet, hit the club, going down. Some other magazine, cause show where you from. I go running back, I get to the back, but I don't fumble it. I fuck with cash, camouflage.
Oh my god, bruh. Yeah, that shit is ass. I'll go into. I want to hear the second half too, Loki.
Just get out my new technique. I can feel it, that's on me. Remember feeling the jeans. I said we look good on screen.
Yeah, so let's hear it with the fucking plugins and shit now. Let me see. Alright, now let's hear it with the beat and shit with the plugins. Yeah, like now all of a sudden, like I'm low-key hitting that shit. Like I'm all like, she think about feeling her jeans. Yeah, like, I'm low-key hitting it now with all the plugins on and stuff. I feel like misconception that people have about auto-tune and things like that is that when you hear like an artist raw vocals, sometimes you'll see this shit I posted on TikTok or Instagram Reels or something. You'll hear an artist raw vocals, and people will be in the comment sections like, oh, like they can't fucking sing for shit. Or you'll see like these genius deconstructed things of people singing, and they'll be like, oh, they can't sing. I think they can sing. Most artists that are like rapping or doing music for a living, I feel like they can sing. It's just that when you're performing with autotune and it's monitoring live, meaning that you're hearing autotune in your headphones, you're not really hearing your actual voice. You're essentially, it kind of forces you to sing worse in a way, because when you sing worse, the autotune almost sounds better. Gives you like this hyper realistic kind of tone where notes are just really snapping very drastically to the correct note. So like you think about it, when you have a bad note, like a considerably bad note, the auto-tune's gonna work harder to snap it to the correct note. And that just makes it sound really cool, hyper realistic, gives it a cool little like feeling to it. So that's most of the time why you hear raw vocals from artists sounding so bad. But another thing you hear is like how compressed this sounds. You listen, solo.
I was never taught to show no love. Kiss the jet, hit the club, going down. Some other magazine, cause show where you from.
Yeah, so you're hearing super compressed, a little bit bright. Actually pretty bright, almost a little bit harsh kinda. I probably should have dialed it back on the brightness. But I'll go through the plugins and explain what each one's doing. So this is a Neve 1073 plugin. This is pretty much responsible for adding harmonics. This little preamp drive right here, this adds harmonic saturation to the vocals. It pretty much just makes them sit on top of the beat a little bit better. Then I'm also using the EQ on this, taking out a little bit at 700 hertz as well as a little bit at 220 hertz so that it's not getting too muddy. Here's the auto tune. I'll show you my settings, but it's pretty much just hard tune, G minor, low mel. For the Pro Q, this is the EQ here. EQ is pretty much responsible for how your voice is gonna, it's like how you can surgically fit your voice inside alongside the beat. your voice is going to have a certain type of tonal characteristic, and by removing or adding certain frequency elements, you're pretty much changing that tone of your voice. Here I'm cutting up to 185 hertz to make it a little bit less muddy. I probably could have done like this, but I'm used to recording on a little bit of shittier mics, like dynamic mics, and just like not condenser mics essentially. This was actually recorded on a condenser mic. I recorded it on AKG 414, which is a nice condenser mic that I recently got. Dynamic mics don't have as nice of a low end as condenser mics do, and if you're recording in a well-treated room with a condenser mic, usually you don't have to do this. You could just do this. But yeah, cutting out the low end, cutting out some of the low mids, cutting out a little bit of the high mids to make it a little bit less harsh, and then boosting the high. So yeah, that's what I'm doing for that. And then compression, I'll show you what it sounds like without compression. Yeah, you see how different it sounds like. It just brings it forward immediately. Watch this. Yeah, it brings it forward immediately pretty much. Then you have the gate. Gate pretty much just cuts out my vocals when I'm not singing. And then pull tech, boosting the high end. Yeah. So on top of that, I have this group fader right here. I have Saturn. It's pretty much saturating the mid and the high end of my vocals. Mag EQ. This is boosting 40k hertz. This is essentially not really adding much of air. I mean, not adding much of a high end, but it's more adding air. So it just makes your vocals sit on top of the beat a little bit better. Then I'm adding a Soothe 2 to make things sound a little bit more smooth. Dealing with like some problematic resonant frequencies that you get with the AKG 414 that are kind of in like I think they're in like the 6 to like 7k hertz range. De-esser to make it a little bit less harsh. And yeah. Now I'll go to Luke's vocals. Here's how Luke sounds. I'll expose myself, but I will not expose my bandmates. So let's just hear how he sounds with everything on. Diamonds on my blade, they gon' dance. Aliens in the wing, on the pins. Fly like I got wings, money spin. Getting rolled up so I can stand. I got rolling party on my ass. My shit on the wall, like some dance. Big all in my cup, rockin' like it. So yeah, for Luke, I'm just pretty much doing like kind of the same thing. I'm using pretty much the exact same plugins. I think I actually am using the exact same chain. I'm just going in, I changed a little bit of the EQ as well as the compressor to fit his performance, and then the de-esser and the gate. I just changed the parameters of the plugins pretty much. Luke recorded on Jaden's condenser microphone that he has, which is like an emulation, I'm pretty sure, of the AKG C12, which is a pretty bright microphone. So not having to boost as much of the high end here. I probably shouldn't have taken out as much of the low end, but you learn and you live and you live and you learn. Same thing, Neve again. I'm getting a little bit more harmonic saturation, because the nice thing about harmonic saturation within 1073 is that it saturates a lot of the upper mid frequencies and just like the mid frequencies in general, which gives it like a nice body, which is really, it pairs well with mics that are really bright. Yeah, so then we're doing de-esser again, getting rid of the harshness, compressor, bring it forward in the mix, also leveling out all the lyrics, making sure you can understand maybe not understand what they're saying, but you can at least hear the melody consistently. But yeah, so that's how we mixed most of the vocals. I guess the last thing I'll go over is this little outro section. I had Luke do like a little like vocal passage, kind of fit it within the instrumental a little bit. Yeah, so right there, I was kind of using the voice more as an instrument rather than like an actual vocal element of the track. Here I'm using like things like phaser, delay, and reverb, just so it can get kind of like drowned in the track and make it more ambient, atmospheric. Then the last thing I'll get into is all these sends. These I think this first send right here is used for like a vocal widener. It's pretty much just a really short reverb. Then this next send's just a bigger reverb plate. This right here, this reverb is I'm pretty sure on the instrumental tracks. This isn't for the vocals. Another plate. Echo Boy, I'm pretty sure this is like another type of widener just to get the vocals to have a little bit more of a stereo feel. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Echo Boy. Yeah, then it's going to be a 16th note delay, 8th note delay to add on to the vocals. This is another reverb I added for the arpeggiator thing that Nick did. Echo Boy, not too sure what's going on here. I can't even explain that. Micro shift, 2 micro shifts. I use these on the vocals as well. Actually, one of the micro shifts I used on the instrumental, on one of the instrumental components, and then one of them on the vocals. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we did. I guess I could just, I'm not going to play through the whole song because if you want to listen to the song, you can just listen to it on our YouTube channel. It's on here as well. We have a music video out for the song right now. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, I'm pretty sure it's on SoundCloud. We made these little stickers. If you want one, you could like email us, we'll send you a sticker. But yeah, so I hope this was helpful for somebody. I've never done a video like this before, so sorry if I rambled or I didn't play enough of the beat or make it interesting enough. I don't really know. But I just wanted to give some insight if you are a fan of our music or you listen to our stuff, just kind of how we do things. And also, if you're an artist and you ever need any help with any like production things or mixing advice or any type of help on anything, you could reach out to us on Instagram or you could email us. We're like a very open, ready to help kind of group because we know how hard it is personally to get started in music, and trying to make a career out of music too is especially difficult. So yeah, don't want to gatekeep any of our processes or what we do or anything. So that is the breakdown, I guess. If you are a fan of any of our other songs and you want us to break it down, comment it below, and comment any suggestions or anything if you could think of a way to make this better. Thank you.